Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Heston. I'm a board member with the Homeschool Association of California. I'm a homeschool veteran, homeschool consultant, and a community organizer. So legally, what a family needs to do is they need to file a private school affidavit right now. Normally, they would have a choice of going with possibly a charter school, a homeschool charter school, but right now at the end of the year, that's not an option. They could look at that for next year. So they want to look at the homeschool charter list that we have at hsc.org to see what charter is in their area and look into that possibility. But right now, because there's only a couple of months left of school, we're looking at the private school affidavit, and filing that essentially establishes your home as a small private school. So what a family needs to do is they need to first unenroll from their brick and mortar school, whether that's a private school or a public school, it doesn't matter. They just need to officially unenroll. And we do have sample letters for that at hsc.org in the Legal 101 section. But you'll want to unenroll officially by email or by letter. And then as soon as that's been received by the school, you can file the private school affidavit. And again, at hsc.org, we have a quick start guide at the top of our main homepage that you can click on with all of the links that you'll need. So what you're first going to do is go ahead and file that private school affidavit. That is simply a notification to the state that you are a private school. So you deciding to be a private school and doing the things that you need to do to become one is what makes you a private school. So what things do you need to do to be a private school? Well, filing the private school affidavit is only one part of that. The other thing that you need to do is to keep a few things on file. And what those are is first you need to have attendance records. And by law, you need to keep track of when your child is absent. So all you're going to do is keep possibly a calendar on the wall. And if your child is ever absent, you put an X mark on it. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could just be basically a blank calendar, probably because your child's never absent. The second thing is that you need to keep a list of courses of study that you offer. And that simply means classes you offer. It doesn't have to mean classes that your child is doing right now or taking right now. So you can look to the California standards for what middle school or high school might need to offer and just make a list of them and put that in the file. The other thing is that private schools have to keep faculty qualifications. And since you are the only teacher in your school, your qualifications might be a resume, for instance. So, or a piece of paper stating that you graduated from high school. So something like that would go in your file. You also need to keep a criminal record summary of any of the teachers in your school. And because you are the only teacher, that law doesn't actually apply to you. So you don't have to do anything for that. The last thing, or the next thing that you need to do besides the PSA, is keep a copy of your immunizations. So your immunizations might be absent, incomplete, or complete. That matters not. It just matters that you keep a copy of what those are in a file. And another thing I like to let people know that if for some odd reason, and let me say I've never heard of this happening in California, this has not happened as far as I know, but I like to let people know that if for some reason you got a knock on the door from a truancy officer, all you're legally required to show them is your PSA, your private school affidavit, and your attendance records. That's all that you're required to show them to show that you are legally complying with the compulsory education law. And the compulsory education law applies to children who are ages 6 through 18, and that law applies to children who were 6 on September 1st of any given year. So whatever year your child is 6 on September 1st, that is the first year that you'll need to do something legally to comply with the law. So if your child happens to turn 6 on September 2nd or December 1st, that doesn't matter for that year. You'll still learn with them and teach them and enrich them, but you won't need to do anything legally to make sure you're covered, even though they turned 6 in the middle of the year. And the private school affidavit normally gets filed every October between the 1st and the 15th. But we are in the middle of a school year right now. So you are establishing your small private school in the middle of a year. If you decide to continue homeschooling next year, you will file it in October, because that is the sort of arbitrary filing period that the government has set up for all private schools in California. And the reason they do that is that they have some brick and mortar public basically publicly available schools. You would be a publicly available private school, but these schools are available for people to enroll their children in. And so they have a cutoff period, and they make the filing period between October 1st and 15th so that they can then publish that list. And what's awesome is that for parents who are filing the PSA, we have usually less than 6 children. And so for those of us who file it that have less than 6 children, our information goes into a separate database that is not searchable online. Technically it is public, but a person would need to go down to the Board of Education office to ask to look through those records. And I've never had a privacy issue in filing for 11 years now. So that's just not a problem. So again, right now you would unenroll, keep a few things on file that I mentioned, which are also listed at hsc.org in the Quick Start Guide, and file the PSA and start homeschooling. So parents can go to hsc.org and click on the Quick Start Guide. And in the Quick Start Guide, we have links to Spanish instructions, English instructions that tell you how to file the private school affidavit, and a link to the private school affidavit, actually, which is housed at the Board of Education website. And the Board of Education website also has a little bit of additional information as well. But just going to the hsc.org Quick Start Guide will give you everything that you need to know. Also, hsc.org and myself, we do Homeschool 101 sessions on a regular basis. So if you check out our Facebook group, we do have them posted there as events. So in the future, if someone needs more detailed information, they can certainly attend one of those as well, where we go into more depth about filing the private school affidavit and how to get started homeschooling, especially on a longer term basis in a world where we all get to be together. So it's actually really different for every state. There are some states that have no reporting requirements. You can just start homeschooling and you don't have to do anything. There are some states where you have to check in and you have to submit your plan for the year, and there's testing. So it's really different for every state. So if you're not in California, then this advice does not apply to you, and you should contact your local homeschool group. You can usually find a state homeschool group. If you just look up your state name and homeschool group, it'll come up, or association, something like that. Like ours is called the Homeschool Association of California. So there might be one for, different states. And you can also probably get in touch with local homeschool groups just by looking on Facebook or Meetup or Google groups, and find your local homeschoolers. Again, find a veteran homeschooler in your area who's going to know this information for your state, so that you're doing it the right way, because we do want to make sure that everybody who's homeschooling is doing it correctly, legally, and abiding by their state law. And just, wing it. Because nobody's paying attention right now, right? I mean, the truancy laws are not really applying right now because everybody's at home, right? But if you're going to officially homeschool and unenroll your child from a state school, we really, really want you to do it the legal and correct way, because right now there is a great deal of attention on homeschooling and a lot of the positivity about it. And I'm concerned that there could be a backlash later. So we want to make sure that people are, doing the best job they can, getting the resources they need, and doing it legally. I mean, I run this huge Nerf battle called Ragnarocktoberfest. So actually, that's another website that you could tout for me. It's East Bay Area Nerf.com, right? So that's the monthly Nerf battles that I run, right? So, but we get like 100 people a month. So then the local the local Nerf community that I am connected to. Well, it's not even the local Nerf, it's a worldwide Nerf community. I mean, we have a guy from Australia on in our group, and I was about to go to the UK now. My oldest son and I were supposed to be leaving to go to this huge weekend long Nerf event in like outside of London. And we were going to also go to Scotland to visit some other Nerfers that we know there, right? So it's this whole thing, right? And there's this big Nerf event, which if you go to East Bay Area Nerf, you see that I link to Ragnarocktoberfest. And Ragnarocktoberfest is the big once a year, and we've done it like 6 times now. This would be the 7th time. And we rent out a school, and it's all weekend long. And there's like a modding party where you modify Nerf blasters, and we do this story-based long form game. It's like humans against zombies. And then we do a competition, a competitive game on Sunday. It's this whole thing, right? Yeah, it's like I said, it's really a no-brainer now. It's really pretty easy in all the community and classes. You don't have to, like, it's not like 30 years ago where you had the library and park day. And that was it, right? Now you can offload every part of it if you want to. You don't have to do anything with at on the I think I mentioned it in my talk as well, that at the Homeschool Association of California Facebook page, pinned is that resource list. I've got like 20 pages of resources now, and they're all categorized, right? They have categories like math and science and whatever, right? And as I add new ones, I add them to the top of the list, and like every day I'm adding new stuff. There's so much stuff on there. Oh my God. So just share that resource, anywhere.